guide them into the Buffalo Chip, into his, his big mobile home he's got that he brings in, and they went in and shaking hands and rattling cages and sabers and all these other things. And so they announced me. I did the national anthem. I got done. I went over and I sat in my truck and I went, my God, it felt like it took 3 days to get this, 4.5 minute song done. And it's not even 4.5 minutes. From beginning to end, I think it's probably 3, but, with the preparatory and all the other stuff they let me do. But I tell you, that's the most nervous. Yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I was nervous.
Yeah, it does, and I can relate to that because I didn't have quite that impressive an experience, but I remember probably my most nearly equal performance was I was invited to do a show at Disney World in Florida when I was at WQYK in Tampa, and it was the Charlie Rich show, and it was really funny. It was really funny because a band that was playing at their Western restaurant over across the pond was a band that I had worked with several years before that in upstate New York, so it was like old home day. But when it came time to do the Charlie Rich intro, I was told that I just had moments. I should go up, maybe tell a joke, introduce myself, say who I am, and then introduce Charlie. And his manager was going to be back there. If you're familiar with Disney, this was held in the front of the Magic Castle, which has that staircase going down either side. And it was there's stage there. And I was told to look over my shoulder, and his manager would be back there to cue me that he was coming. So I got up there, I introduced myself, I told him I was from the radio station. I probably told something that I thought was kind of humorous at the time that nobody else did. But anyway, I did my thing, looked over my shoulder as I was talking, and the guy is standing there giving me the stretch signal. And I'm thinking, stretch. Okay, you want me to stretch? I did not come prepared to stretch.
Longer, yeah.
Yeah, I wound up, to make a long story short, because people want to hear you, not me, but to make a long story short, I wound up talking for what seemed like 4 hours, but it was probably about 10 to 15 minutes making things up, and finally I just started talking to people in the audience, and it was really got to be kind of neat at that point because they were like telling me where they were from and what they enjoyed about Disneyland and the whole thing. But it was quite an experience standing up there, not knowing how long I was going to be stuck out there in front of they said 60,000. I don't think it was that many, but I can tell you that the crowd from the front of the Magic Castle stretched out to the main gate. That's all I know. It was just a solid wall of people all the way out to the main gate, and that's
a lot of people.
Yeah, I was both thrilled and glad to get off of that stage. But because
all of a sudden your brain goes, you're trying to figure out something to say. I mean, you're witty all the time, and then all of a sudden you have to do something. You're like,
yeah, that's it.
Where's the teleprompter now?
John Bon Jovial, you're sitting there rather smug and quiet. You must have something to contribute to this conversation.
No, I'm just, I'm listening to the conversation and enjoying it.
As long as it's nothing about spiders. I don't hear nothing about spiders.
Okay, nothing about spiders.
No, I'm just, you're bringing me back. No, go ahead,
Somebody
Dan.
asked me today if my spidey senses were coming through. And I said, "Oh, geez, here we go. Now it's going to start."
No, you're bringing back memories for me of Laconia and Lake Winnipesaukee, and because I grew up in Massachusetts, and it just I really have nothing to add to the conversation other than I'm just sitting here with a big you-know-what-eating grin on my face listening to all of this because I remember getting in a lot of trouble up around Laconia when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, it doesn't take a lot to get in trouble in Laconia because for some reason a lot of people, I don't know, maybe the alcohol, I don't know, but something kind of brings the childishness out of people in Laconia for some reason. I saw a lot of it this weekend. I've seen it in a lot of the bike rallies. So it's not just Laconia.
No, and I think everybody goes through that, no matter where they are, what the association is. Growing up, you just have to get that wildness out of you, and you do crazy things, and Some of them you don't mind talking about. Then there are others. But speaking of other things, Dan, before we let you go, here are a couple of other things. You got some new music coming up in the near future.
We're working on a brand new album now. We have a name for it. It is, you got to listen closely because they don't seem to figure out what I'm saying. The name of the album is going to be called Abyssal Plain, like the abyss in the ocean.
Gotcha.
As you know, these 3 albums is going to be a trilogy. There's 3 7-songs albums and 7 songs on each. And when we're done, we're going to do a box and album set of it. But each part of the trilogy is going to be separate from the other. So this is going to be a more in-depth, kind of mysterious kind of CD. We've already got some music written for it. John Cafferty has already given me a song for the new album. And
Great.
We're just getting all the music tightened up before we go in and start doing things. We have a lot of traveling to do this summer. I'll be headlining the Kentucky Bike Rally July 13th down in Sturgis, Kentucky. I'll be headlining the East Coast Bike Rally down in Little Orleans, Maryland in August. I've got shows with, again, John Cafferty. I have a couple shows. I have a big show coming up in July with a Room Full of Blues. So we're pretty busy.
And you're going to be coming back to debut your new albums with us, correct?
You bet I will. That's a guarantee.
We'd love to have you. Before we let you go, we've got just enough time for you to tell us the story behind this next song. We played it a couple of weeks ago when you were on, but it deserves repeating, the story about Just Ain't Easy. Just Ain't Easy was written by a dear friend who just passed away just a few weeks ago, Greg Allman. I played with Greg for a little while. When Greg and friends were out on the road, me and Dan Toller did a lot of the guitar work for him. And one of the things I'd always told him, because I had stumbled across this song, it's on a very obscure album called Enlightened Rogues. It was the first album they did after Dwayne had passed away. It was the first full album they did. And again, very obscure, one of the best albums they've ever done, as far as I'm concerned, because there was such just an array of different great rock and blues and ballads on there. And this one song, Just Ain't Easy, that Greg wrote, it even took a while to convince him to start doing it on stage. But it kind of caught on, and I told him, I said, one day, man, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to record this. And Greg does not give a lot of his music out. I only know of one other band that has ever covered any of Greg Allman's stuff, and that's Molly Hatchet, because him and Dan were very good friends, and they covered his song Dreams. And when I asked about this, it had to be approved by Elijah Blue Publishing, which is of course run by Greg. Right. That's his son Elijah runs it. And he says, I really would like to hear your demo of it before you disc it. And I sent him a demo, and he got back and he says, man, I love it. I love the harmonies. I love everything you did. And so it's a mainstay at a lot of our shows, and we still perform it to this day. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Lawson, learn all about him. Follow his trips and tracks on his website, danlawson.com. And here he is right now with the Greg Allman tune, Just Ain't Easy.
Baby,
we go. Dan Lawson, the Dan Lawson Band. Thank you so much for being with us, Dan, and sharing. Be sure, folks, check out his music. You can pick it up on iTunes, CD Baby, Amazon, all the places where you normally find your music online. Check out at his website, danlawson.com. We'll see you again next week with more indie music. John Bon Jovial, take us home.
I'm on my way. Hey, folks, be sure to join us next week for the David Bowers Awards, Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern on WRFZ-FM 106.3 in Rochester, New York. That is Rochester Free Radio. And on Blog Talk Radio, Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and, of course, 7 p.m. Greenwich time for those of you that are international, for more great indie music and talk with the artists who make it happen. Until next week, for the David Bowers and Nick the Geek, Hop Along Sarcassity, and all the other folks here at the Radio Ranch, this is John Bon Jovial saying be good to each other. We will see you next week right here on the David Bowers Awards.